I was 16 the year the basement taught me how loud silence could be. Don't blink. Junior year had 9 periods. 5th was lunch, 6th was astronomy, in one of the 2 basement classrooms. The school was 3 stories tall, but apparently 3 floors weren't enough, so they shoved a couple of rooms underground. Creepy doesn't begin to cover it. The place used to be janitorial, then they remodeled it into a hallway, minus the intercoms. That detail mattered a lot. Because no intercoms meant no announcements. No announcements meant the basement felt like a separate world. People called it the chamber. Everyone wanted classes down there, air conditioning, easier work, and your own bathroom. Too good to be true. It almost always was. We had a quiz that day. Astronomy was easy for me, so I was done before most. Bored, I texted JJ. He was in the other basement classroom to meet me in the bathroom. He agreed. I left, walked the short hallway and waited. Don't laugh. The whole thing looked like the opening of a movie. The door opened and JJ strolled in, grinning. Then his expression changed. Someone had texted him. The school was on lockdown. That should have ended the story. Instead, it was the beginning. Neither of our teachers has seen us leave basement anonymity, so we decided to sneak upstairs and look around. Curiosity, stupidity, same coin. The worst we imagined was an explanation. We didn't hear the announcement down in the chamber. Simple, safe, wrong. When we pushed the basement door open, the main floor was pitch black, not just dim, blackout. The lobby doors let in light, but the hallways were dead. That struck me as wrong. They always left lights on for lockdowns. Something was happening, and my stomach dropped. Jay stepped out first. I followed. He peered down the corridor and whispered, "Who's that?" Then I saw him, a man emerging from the dark, not a teacher, not staff. He looked like he'd been living on the street. My throat tightened. "All right, let's go," I said, and we scrambled back to the basement. Whoever he was, he's seen something. To avoid being seen again, we hid in the bathroom and squeezed into the corner stall. Total silence swallowed us. No vents, no hum, only breathing and a distant drip. I thought of every horror movie I'd ever seen. Bad timing, bad life choices. The bathroom door cracked open. Hallway light cut through the stall gaps for a second, then died. We held our breaths. Footsteps walked toward our side of the room. Heavy breathing. Close. My mind rehearsed escape plans that were all terrible. JJ whispered loud enough to echo. "We have to crawl through the stalls." Brilliant. Terrible. The heavy breathing stopped. Someone pushed our stall door. "Go, go." I hissed. We crawled under the divider, slid to the next stall and the next, finally popping out at the far side of the bathroom. The banging started then, a fist on the stall door like thunder. We raced to JJ's classroom and pounded. The teacher opened and let us in without a word. Jay, pale and shaking, told him everything. The teacher locked the door and said he'd seen a gun in the man's pocket. I hadn't seen one. That didn't stop my heart from dropping. In the room, kids weren't laughing. They should have been 2 kids causing a ruckus during lockdown, but faces were tight, eyes worried. Someone banged on the classroom door. A couple of girls squealed. We peered through the window. The man stood in the hall, trying the knob, anger in each bang. Then he turned and walked away. We huddled for an hour, a clock we couldn't hear marking time by the way our shoulders rose and fell. Eventually, someone from upstairs told us to single file up the stairs and out of the building where police waited. We described him. A cop patted my back. They never announced a capture. Cameras went up the next week. Security budgets increased, but no headlines, no closure. I still think, sometimes, that the man meant to kill us in that stall. Don't let that thought go. Years later, as a New Jersey cop, I responded to a different lockdown, a middle school. Stormy day, radio ping calling my car number. A suspicious man had been seen stepping from a white van behind the school, walking in through the back door by the boys' locker room. My stomach knew the drill before my head did. I parked beside the van, empty, doors locked. My flashlight became my eyes. My gun felt heavy in my hand. The school was dark. The lights switched off, same roundness as before. I moved down the hall and into the locker room. No windows. The world was made of flashlight cones and metal lockers. A high constant vent noise masked everything, but there were faint dings, scratches, or taps from the other side of the lockers. I was supposed to announce myself, but fear makes you small, keeps your voice inside. I edged along, toes on the floor, when a locker slammed somewhere behind me. My heart jumped into my throat. I shouted, "Police!" And a muffled voice answered, "Help!" It was a kid trapped in a locker, pounding from the inside. I felt sick. I ran for backup and then to the van. It was gone. I had missed the plate, rookie mistake on a seasoned officer's worst day, and the boy had been cut, held with a knife, dragged close to a van. We later found the van and the man in a 7-Eleven parking lot, arrested a week later. I remember the way the boy looked when freed, hollowed, like a weather-beaten thing. The lesson seemed clear: act faster, notice more, be better. Then there was the hotel. I was visiting Rowan University, thinking about college, 18 and solo. I checked into a Hampton Inn, 8, walked campus, then went back to my room around 8. At 9, the hotel alarm started, a white strobe and a voice looping, "All Hampton guests, please remain in your rooms. This is a lockdown." I laughed it off at first, because what else do you do? And watched TV while the light flashed. At 9:30 the front desk called, calm voice but urgent, "Remain calm. Get out of your room." I dropped the phone and searched. Under the bed, nothing. Bathroom clear. Closet, cracked open. A face filled that tiny slit for a second, then the door slid shut. I ran out. Security footage showed a man moving down the hallway earlier, trying room after room until your card opened one. He'd been watching my door for an hour. The authorities took him out in chains. He glared at me as they let him past, like he knew where I'd been every second. After a lifetime of lockdowns, running toward danger, and making calls that mattered, I thought I learned the lesson. Trust your instincts. Be loud when silence threatens. Lock doors. Check plates. Report everything. Teach kids to hide smart. Teach officers to move faster. Be the adult you needed at 16. Safety, I thought, is a muscle you build. Train it and it will keep you safe. But here's the thing about lessons. They're tidy until life pulls the rug. I tell young officers to always get the plate number first. I tell kids to hide, to be loud, to run if they can. I repeat the rules like a prayer. And then I remember the hotel closet, the hour he watched my door, and the basement bathroom where a single crack of light almost swallowed us whole. I remember how small and loud fear makes you feel. So what's the lesson really? That vigilance saves lives? That rules work? Maybe. But as I stand now, retired, replaying every wrong turn and every narrow escape, I am forced to admit something ugly and true. Sometimes survival isn't about what you do right. Sometimes it's about what you don't do wrong. The flip is this, the final ugly lesson that sits in my throat. The only reason I'm here to tell you any of it is because at 16 I texted JJ instead of taking my quiz in silence. If I stayed, if I'd been careful, I might have been the one who never walked out of that stall.